Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone's doing well. It's a rather brisk Tuesday, but it is so much warmer than what it was. In this video, I'm going to be answering all those questions that you put out for me. If you see me looking down, I am looking at my laptop here that has your questions that I thought I would read on. I have not previewed them, so this is going to be a cold read. As you probably know, I was in that real cold polar vortex ice storm. It was pretty miserable. Michael's family lost heat. They literally ran out of oil. He didn't realize, because he has an elderly mother and a disabled brother, he didn't realize that they weren't checking on it, and they don't have automatic refill. So he took care of things. Everything is good, but it was a scary 24 hours there. It got so incredibly cold here. Even, with our furnace going, we did have 2 space heaters, which can be dangerous. So just make sure if you have them that you keep an eye on them. You don't leave them on overnight. And you get the kind that if they were to tip over, they automatically turn themselves off. I had my heated blanket. The 2 cats had their little heated beds because, they're both seniors, right? They're both pushing 20 years old. And, it was below freezing. And here in New England, the weather is just getting more and more dramatic and drastic. It's like in the course of a year, our temperatures fluctuate by like 100 degrees, right? So, we're pushing 100 with 100% humidity in the summer. And now in the winter, we're getting into the negatives. And the funny thing is, there's no snow on the ground. It hasn't really been cold enough, long enough for it to snow. And so we should have had some blizzards by now. People that rely upon that money that plow the snow for us, they're hurting, right? Because you have to spend extra money on the insurance for your truck and all that. And, so it's really difficult. But, climate change is very much real. And as you know, I took a few days off for my birthday. So thank you for all the birthday wishes. We had a blast. We went to see a show called Shen Yun. And it's American Chinese dancers, and really beautiful. And they also had, some lovely singers and people playing traditional Chinese instruments too on top of the dancing. So that was nice. And then we went out for a nice meal afterwards. A beautiful vegetarian. Because like I've often said, like, it's really hard to be vegan when you go out. Vegetarian's not a problem. It was a really nice restaurant. Michael had asked them ahead of time. They said, yep, no problem. And so a beautiful vegetarian meal. And it was gorgeous. In my next video, if I remember, I will show you the scarf that I got from Shen Yun. It's this beautiful Chinese painted scarf that I got. So I'll have to show you that. For Friday, I have a live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on Ivana Intuitive's channel. So like I've been saying, I'm doing more lives with some of my members to help promote their channels, to bring some awareness of what they do. So last week I was on Gertrude's channel. You can check that out. Gertrude's channeling. You'll see it there. It is also in my community section. And she interviewed me and asked me about my life and what it was like growing up psychic. And, I talk about my ET experience when I was 3 and, all the paranormal experiences I had and all that good stuff. So check that out. This Friday at 6 p.m., I will be on Ivana's channel. And I will put a link up also in the community tab. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern on my channel, Andre is coming back, and we're going to be talking about astrology and how that's affecting all of us and our politics and our current events. And so I can't wait. So let's get to it. I did put out a new blog today about auras, and I list what each color means. And then in the next blog, I will talk about how to read auras. And I also listed all of the lives for members. That's there too. And if you want to join, there's the link. Okay, if you want to become a member, I put the link there because I get asked for that link all the time, even though all you have to do is just hit the join button up top, where it says, videos, playlists, all that stuff, community. There's something there that says join. And if you hit that works. So I haven't previewed these. So first one is from B3 Mama. Will there be sustainable gun reform in the U.S.? If so, is there a timeline? So, yeah, really important, right? I think we've all heard about that 6-year-old now that shot his teacher. But of course, too, in that situation, it appears that 3 staff members knew. And I'm just wondering, for them to not hit the panic button, how common is it? Because if I saw a 6-year-old with a gun, I would be terrified. I don't know if I would necessarily follow chain of command, and I'd probably get into a lot of trouble. I think I might just hit the panic button and call 911, because that's just not acceptable. But how acceptable was it at that school that nobody did hit the panic button? So do I see that's going to happen? Yes. Do I see that's going to happen this year or next? No. Definitely not until after 2024. I'm not seeing it for this year. And the reason I'm saying this, is because I'm seeing, yes, little changes. Every time there's a tragedy, we make a little change, right? After we send the thoughts and prayers, we make a little change. But I think what, B3 Mom is asking me is real significant change. Okay. My cards are a mess. Let me just give them one more good shuffle because they're really jumpy. Okay. And I did have the Lovers jump out. So that gives me a lot of hope with this. And also too, put in the comments what you think. Okay. So the card of disillusionment came out. The Hermit. And then, okay. So we'll start with, yes, things will get better. But if you're looking for timing, like for it to happen now, no, I'm not seeing that. And what's the obstacle? Disillusionment. People not seeing reality for what it is. There's so much money in guns, right? That's the issue. The issue is the money part, right? And so, there's a lot of people with their head in the clouds. There's so much more that they need to learn. They need to learn. They need to study. The Hermit is about education. Learning something, right? And then once they and for me, what I'm thinking is it means to me, it has to hit home for them. So these people that are pushing all these guns, it has to actually hit home for them somehow. Okay. And then that's when we move forward. That's when we go forward as a collective and we say, okay, we need actual real reform. It's not normal for 6-year-olds to shoot their teachers. You know what? I'm going to skip all the numerology questions because I saw the other day when I was looking to make sure that people were posting questions, I saw like a whole bunch that had to do with numerology. And so I'm going to skip those because I teach a whole class on it. So if you are interested in learning, about this person's asking about master numbers, and I saw that somebody had asked me about the number 6, and no, of course the number 6 isn't bad. 6 is just a number. So, if you want, take the numerology class that I have, or all those times in the community tab where I have just for free posted what the numbers mean, because there's just so many of those I saw. And honestly, what it means for you, like, as this person's asking about, I keep seeing my birth date, okay? So ask your guides, what are you trying to tell me? Because me seeing my birth date may not mean the same thing as you seeing your birth date. It can mean 2 different things, you see. So you have to ask your guides. It's like during membership, we were talking about dream interpretation and the reason I steer clear from it. Well, because here's a prime example. My mother once had a dream about a snake, and for her it was a very profound dream, but she's terrified of snakes. She was always terrified of snakes. I love snakes. I used to take care of the snake in high school in our biology class, Mr. Snicks. And so if my mother dreamt about a snake versus me, it would mean 2 different things, you see. But when you get those books out that say, oh, snakes mean, or cats mean, or owls mean, or this means, or that means, no. It might mean that to one culture, but unless you're part of that culture and you already know it, it doesn't make sense to me, you see. So always ask your guides, and I do have a step-by-step class on that too. I recently just did a seminar that you can watch on how to contact your spirit guides and ask those kind of questions. Jeanette asks, what's going to happen to Bill Barr? Will he be held accountable for his bad deeds as DOJ? All right. Yes, I do think so. First of all, let me just say, no matter what the cards, come up with next, yes. I really do feel like he is a wealth of information that they want to pump first. They want to get this info out, because I think he has, an awful lot to say, doesn't he? So I also think he's very tight-lipped and very private. So the first card we get is the card of drastic change. So things are very much changing for him. I actually think even though he is corrupt, he is an intelligent man. I think he feels this. He senses it. Oh, look at his obstacle card. The Tower. So things are really about to change. Because when you get the card of drastic change, right, you don't know which way it's going to go. Not all change is bad. Change can frequently be good. But not for him. Not for him. For me, this is one of my cards for the U.S. And, just looking at the stars and that sort of thing. And it's a symbol of like hope and all of that. So, yeah, I think there is more that they want to know. There's more information they want to get out of him. And it has to do with his relationship with 45. Okay. So they want to get more. I just keep getting like, they just want to get more information out of him. Okay. But yes, I do think justice will be served in that case. But also too, he's smart. He's lawyered up. He knows what he's doing. So it's going to be tricky. But yeah, he is going to be held accountable. Here's a great question that Pamela asked. So for those of you who don't know, I started channeling a collective, that's us, 100 years in the future. And she's asking a question about something that I actually saw when I was channeling them. She says, I was watching a video of News Nation with Chris Cuomo, and it got me to wondering if there'd ever be a time when we have an independent president. With the way things have been going in Washington, could this happen? People are becoming tired of the constant bickering. So one of the things that they told me is that we would still have a Republican and a Democratic Party, but that would be less important. We would also have people that just simply run as individuals. They don't adhere to any particular mindset either way. And it's a little bit more of a popularity contest in some ways, but they felt that it was a change for the better. So I'll pull a few cards on that for you, Pamela. But yes, that is what I got from this collective. Members, I am going to be channeling them for you. I do talk about that at the end of my video with Gertrude. I talk a lot about what I did get from them already. So if you want to know more about that, go to Gertrude's channeling channel. And you will see it there under her lives. Okay. Yeah, here's a card of change, 8 of Wands, things speeding up and changing, right? Because I think once we hit 2024, we really start to shift more towards fourth density. And so things really start changing. And so lots of more opportunities coming in. And if you notice, look, there's 8 wands here. There's not 2. I mean, there's plenty of 2s in this deck, right? There's lots of things about duality in tarot. And that's not in here, so yes. The obstacle may be that this brings about a lot of like passion, maybe a little too much enthusiasm, people really fighting it out to win. Because, I think the two-party system is kind of weighing on a lot of people, right? And so we're kind of looking for somebody who you don't necessarily want the King of Wands to be your president. Yeah, it's great that he's a businessman and that sort of thing, but you want somebody who's also very level-headed and, calm. So you wouldn't want that kind of energy. It is going to cause a lot of bickering and fighting when this happens, because imagine the day that this does happen. And I really do feel like it's going to, not in the next election, of course, or the election after that, but it's going to cause a lot of bickering and arguing. But then we have this nice new beginning where we're starting to manifest those things that we want into reality. And so I think it's a change for the better, but it's going to cause some upheaval while it happens. Jenny asks, I have a question about the Akashic records. Can your personal record be viewed by just anyone? Yes. Does the viewer need permission? No. And or is it protected by a higher source? It's information. Information is information is information. Now the thing when it comes to permission is, should you ask permission? Yes, that's ethical. Like, do you just start taking out the tarot cards and reading on just anybody? That's not like in the public eye. That's why, when I do these things live, like I do it twice a month for members. I always say, keep the questions about yourself. We're not going to read publicly on your loved ones. I don't think that's ethical. So let's not do that. So should you get it? Yes. Do you absolutely, I can tell you as a remote viewer, do I need your permission? No. Now, what people who are, like, say, occultists, okay, and I don't mean that in a negative way, people that practice white magic even, what they do is they put up blocks so you can't see it. Like, there is only so much all of you are going to be able to get about me, okay, because you're going to come up to some brick walls. I will let you see so much, and then it's a brick wall. So yeah, you can read anybody's Akashic records. You can, if you have that skill, but I think you should ethically ask for permission and not just go into people's private info like that. So, it's a double-edged sword there, I think. Surf Mom, should we ever be hesitant to read our cards? No. It seems as if I'm being told not to read them while my son's fighting cancer. You feel negative energy. So here's the thing. Sometimes our guides will say, look, take a rest, because the cards are going to maybe say something that you don't want to see. There's nothing evil or wrong or negative about tarot cards. Nothing. But I think what your guides are saying to you is, right now, you probably wouldn't like the answer. And do you have the skill set? Because this is something I teach in my tarot class, that, okay, say it's a negative outcome. Okay, say like it's something bad, like whatever it is. I'm not talking about your son. I'm just saying, because I'm not going to read on him publicly. But say it is something negative with whatever you're doing. Do you have the skill set to then say, okay, guides, now show me how there can be a light at the end of the tunnel. Show me if I was to do this, or, or if my loved one was to do that. Like, so often when I have people ask me medical questions, I always say, look, I'm not a doctor, and I'm certainly not your doctor. But one thing that we can do is we can, because they'll say, well, should I take this medication or not? And so I'll do a reading for if they take the medication, if they don't take the medication. And then I let them draw their own conclusions. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. I find that very few things are gloom and doom. It's how you get there, though. And tarot can take you there. But your guides might be saying to you right now, take a break, it's okay. So what I would do is I would open my heart chakra and just surround him with that beautiful green light, that emerald green healing light from Archangel Raphael, and just try to heal him, every fiber of his being, every cell in his body. Okay. Prayer, I think, works too, because it's a set of intentions that you say, and intentions are everything. And so keep that in mind. But just, lots of love and light to you, Surf Mom. Lambie asks, when starting to connect to spirit, knowing spirit is always with us, are dry spells from typical and known signs like dreams and automatic writing a signal that our signs are changing or morphing, or do we just go through dry spells and not force an outcome? Well, here's the thing. I would say change up your tactic, because they're always there, right? I mean, like you said, your guides, your angels, your ancestors, loved ones, your pets, they're always all there. And so sometimes we're not as receptive. Sometimes we're sick. Our body is sick. Sometimes our minds are sick. We're feeling depressed. We're feeling anxious. We're not getting enough sleep. We're not eating right. So take a look at that. And what I would do is, maybe take a little hiatus if you feel the need to, but then change up your tactic. Use a different way to communicate. Because here's the thing. If all you're getting is signs, like if all you're getting is angel numbers, okay? Angel numbers are good and bad, I always say. Good that, your angels are saying, hey, we're here, we love you, you're not alone. They're bad in the sense you're not getting sentences and paragraphs. You're just getting these little bits and pieces, so you need to hone your skills. And that's where, like you mentioned, automatic writing is perfect. Dreams, sometimes you don't remember your dreams because you're just too darn tired, so I would say I would change up. When that happens to me, I change up my tactic. I need to raise my vibe higher than whatever that dry spell is, unless I need for the dry spell to happen. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay. Like when I was sick after surgery, because one thing I'll tell all of you about having this surgery is that it really zapped me of my energy. It made me really tired. My pain was managed, but I think also too, I don't react great to pain medicine. So I said, all right, you know what? I'm not going to do readings. I'm not going to sit there and make all these videos. And so it's okay. Let it happen. Kim Teach asks about the housing market. Will it improve for the buyer, and will regulations be passed to prevent companies like Amazon from buying up the housing market? Well, I will give you a little bit of inside information. This is not psychic. This is actually inside information, which I won't tell you how I got. But it was an extremely reliable source. So one thing, you might be worried about Amazon. I'm definitely more worried about the banks. The banks evicting people during the pandemic that couldn't pay their mortgage. Because here's what the banks are doing. They're not selling these houses. They're amassing them and they're keeping them. And the person that I got this information from was like in charge of that. And even he was told not to ask too many questions. So, will I think it's going to improve for the buyer? Absolutely. Yes. That's what I am waiting for. We're getting there. Like I told you, I'm looking for a house. But I'm also not going to pay twice the amount because I know that these things go in cycles, and, I'll just take a deep breath and wait a little bit. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to improve. I would look sometime from April on, but of course too, like they always say, like most people don't buy houses in the winter anyways, right? Okay. Yeah, so things are improving. Here's the Queen of Wands. She's a great businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She listens to her instincts, her intuition. And so, yes, the obstacle is, though, here's the Strength card. It's testing our patience, right? The way she handles this lion is with gentle patience, not with brute force. And so it's testing our patience. But then look, a fertile new beginning. So yeah, things are going to get better. Yes, I'm sure Amazon probably is buying up stuff, just like China is buying up our farmland near key military sites, which I think we should probably be a little bit concerned about. The Chinese balloon, let me just say, I never for 1 second thought that was some kind of weather balloon. Not at all. I think it was a test to see what we were going to do. But when I kind of went into the energy of our officials, like those at the Pentagon that were trying to make up their mind about all of it, like, do we shoot it down? What do we do? This is terrible. One thing that I just kept hearing them talk about is that the Chinese are expecting us to shoot it down. And what does that mean? What does it mean that they're expecting us to do this? What does it contain that we wouldn't want in our waters or over our land? And when I went into that energy of what they were thinking it could contain, I started to feel very physically sick. So I started to wonder if they were concerned about like a virus or a plague or something. I think they went through an awful lot of scenarios. But I also feel like the Chinese was doing a test. They were testing us. They wanted to see what would we do. And I think that's why they keep doing it. I don't think that their intentions are fantastic. And let me just point out, when I say Chinese, I absolutely mean the government and not the people. I think the people are fed up with their government. It's like so many people are, and they are not to blame. Suzanne asks, are there any ET bases in the Arctic Circle? Yes. Okay, so she has a friend that's like up there, like part of Norway. Okay. And saw 3 columns of light coming from the clouds going into the sea and the ocean. Yes, yes. So one of the things that I've always been shown is that, we're always looking up so much for extraterrestrials, and we're forgetting to look down. First of all, there is a reason that we haven't explored the majority of this planet, right? We have not explored most of our waters. So there is a reason for that. I think they are treading lightly. The Russian government has put into writing the beings that they encountered. And this is the Russian government. This isn't some ET hunter. This is their military, their Navy men that went down into the water that encountered these beings. And so, yes, I absolutely do think so. And I think the cold weather doesn't really affect them. I think they've evolved past caring about atmosphere and that sort of thing. So yes, I think they're in the waters and they are on the poles. Obviously, they are not negative, because if they wanted to do something, they could have and would have. So yes, to answer your question, Suzanne, yes. Some of these questions I just don't understand. I apologize. So I see a lot of people liked this one, and this is going to be a very cold read for me because I know nothing about it, but cold reads are fine because spirit is spirit. Stacy wants to know about race relations in the Ukraine. So many African residents were left to fend for themselves during the evacuation of some parts of the Ukraine. Will their plight come to light in an effort to be more welcoming to them? Interesting. So I didn't know that was going on with Ukraine. And before anybody gets upset that I said the Ukraine, that's how it's written. I'm just reading it how it's written. So yes. Let's see what the cards have to say, because this is something that I wasn't even aware of. Didn't even realize that they had very much diversity there, because they certainly don't show them on the TV, do they? Okay. So the card of sin and greed and people feeling burdened and chained down. So, the devil doesn't stand for much that's positive, right? So that kind of tells you where we're at right now. The obstacle, King of Swords, when he's at his best, that's great. But now he's the obstacle. So a sense of coldness, unkindness, cruelty, slice them and dice them, right? That sword can go both ways. It's a double-edged sword. But then eventually things do get better. I'm going to go out one more card just to see what it says. They do start to move forward and new opportunities come up for these folks. So, okay. So yes, in time, but looking at, the devil is slow moving. The Knight of Cups is slow moving. Do I have high hopes for anything soon? I do not. Okay. Let's do the 3-card pull. I'm just going to use my Fairy deck by Radley Valentine. Just give it a little shuffle here. I will make another video answering more of your questions because there are so many. So just take a deep breath. See which card you're drawn to. 1, 2, or 3. Here we go. 10 of Summer. An emotionally fulfilling life with family or friends. Raising children wisely. People you can trust. Well, that's always a nice thing. Having people around us that we can trust. And so that's very much centered around, having good times with your friends and your family. So if you've been sort of worried about that, about your relationships, and about just kind of these winter doldrums, you're going to be moving forward with all that. 9 of Spring. Protect the fruits of your labors. Prepare for possible challenges that lie ahead. Environmental conservatism. So this is a little bit of like, take a heads up, take stock of what you have. Don't necessarily trust everybody around you. Things may not always be what they seem, but as long as you take care of yourself, make yourself a priority, you'll be fine. And then finally, 6 of Autumn. The good you do comes back to you. An unexpected inflow of money, borrowing wisely, or repaying a debt. So if you've been worried about finances, this is like a big thumbs up from the universe saying things are getting better. All right, everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching me today. Please hit the like button, subscribe, comment, check out membership, check out my website, dianeaquarius.com. That's where my new blog is. And I will see everyone in a few days. Bye, everyone.